Hey Virgo, how's it going? I got a pretty powerful message about power places and stillness, just intense, grounding of higher energies. Before I turned on the camera and I was meditating on your energy, I was just brought to this idea of holy apparitions. Pardon me, holy apparitions. And one in particular. Between the years of 1968 and 1970, in Zaytun, Egypt, there's a place called the Church of St. Mary, which was built in 1924 by a guy who had apparently seen an apparition of the Virgin Mary and was told to build this church in this particular location. Now, archaeologists believe that this location was once a place of a temple of Isis or a similar type of holy place. And in 1968, 40 plus years after this church was built, it was a time of heightened tensions and there was war occurring. And when there are heightened tensions in society and big social problems, there is a much greater chance of seeing paranormal phenomena, such as UFOs, poltergeists, apparitions, and other strange things. These things have peaks of occurrences during times of war, during times of economic uncertainty, during times of social decay, of social stress, of political stress, and so on. And this apparition is written about extensively in a book called Origins of the Gods by Andrew Collins and Gregory Little. Maybe you're interested in reading this book. It's pretty good. I really like Gregory Little's half of the book. It's excellent. But this apparition was seen by millions of people, and thousands of photographs were taken of it. And here, this is the best photograph of it, but here are some others. We'll get back to the others. Now, this is on top of a church, right? Always taken at night, and every single night, tens of thousands of people gathered to see this for nearly 2 years, or I think more than 2 years, just about 2 years. I think it was April of '68 to the summer, maybe June or July of '70. This photo is really interesting because this is taken at night, and you can see these people down here. Like there's someone's hair, there's someone else's hair, there's a guy's hair and his shoulders, and you can see the dome. There's the apparition there, and you see all this light. It looks like freaking daylight. It looks like this is the sun shining down on them, but this was taken at midnight. So there are, these places of power where these apparitions tend to show up. And a lot of the time, it is this sort of Virgin Mary apparition, or this woman in a white robe. Well, the whole apparition is luminous and white. In Guadalupe, Mexico, of course, there's the famous Lady of Guadalupe. There are many places around the world dedicated to this apparition and to places where this apparition has been seen. And a lot of these places were pre-Christian temples. Now they've been turned into Christian churches over the last 1,500 years or so. And there are reports of millions of people having miraculous healings at these places. They go to these places and they might see some strange things, like a statue that begins to cry, or sometimes even cry blood, or some image that shows up like a burnt marking on a brick wall or something like that that looks like Jesus or some, or the Virgin Mary or something like that. And people who interact with these objects maybe touch the statue or just come near it, or sometimes people claim to just think about these statues from maybe dozens or hundreds of miles away, and they are healed of their ailment, whatever it is, their injury or their sickness or something. And there are millions and millions of reports of such miracle healings. And there are certain, I guess you could call them hermetic techniques of imbuing an object with these sorts of powers and capabilities. You can kind of create, through certain spiritual disciplines, hermetic practices, you can create this like reservoir of energy, a sort of etheric and astral power that you can then imbue into an object with a particular wish associated with it. So you can wish that this object will heal you or people who interact with it. And we do this through energy accumulation practices where we think about energy entering into us, like just golden universal spiritual energy coming into us, and then we think about putting that energy into an object while having a fervent wish about what this object will be able to do. And it should essentially work for anyone who possesses the object. If you want to know more about this, Franz Barden has a really good book called Initiation into Hermetics, where he breaks all this down step by step on how to really specifically do it. And it requires a great deal of ascetic practice, a lot of preparatory work. It could take you maybe a year or more to get to the point where you can begin to imbue objects with this power. It takes a really dedicated person to be able to do this sort of stuff, but such dedicated people exist. They're not exactly rare. So maybe you have an opportunity to do something like this, to create a power place, a place of power for yourself, for everyone, for the betterment of all people everywhere. Or maybe you want to keep it secret. I don't know. It's up to you. But I think you have this, perhaps this moment, this period of time where you're being asked to take something like this pretty seriously, to maybe you want to look into power places. Maybe there's one close to where you live. You'd be surprised how many there are in this world. There is one very close to where I live, and I live in a really random place that no one would think that anything like this existed. And you can explore and interact with these places. Maybe you can recharge or bring new life to one of these places, and that has a rippling benefit to everyone nearby, even if they don't know it, even if they're completely unaware that they live next to a place of power. They might be completely ignorant of these types of phenomena, and it will still benefit them. And I pulled an I Ching hexagram for you, which I think is associated with this. We have gun, or stillness, or keeping still rather, no changing lines. So we have mountain on top of mountain. These two symbols, these 3 lines on the bottom, 3 lines on the top, are the element of mountain. Now this, like the image of a mountain on top of a mountain, that is like utter stillness. When we sit in lotus posture and meditate, we kind of are shaped like a mountain, and it's supposed to bring that stillness and foundation of being a mountain, an immovable mountain. And you might be being asked to take a rest at this time. Could be as simple as that. Just stopping and knowing when and where to stop, when it's appropriate to stop and where in your life, because stopping and advancing, resting and advancing complement each other, and we have to do these in repeated cycles. It's like breathing, like inhaling and exhaling. You rest and you have activity, and then you rest and you have activity. And to understand that, you realize that resting is part of advancing. It might feel like you're not being productive, or you should be out doing something, but you really shouldn't be. You need your rest. It's just as important as your productive activity. Your rest is also productive. It helps you to recuperate. It helps you to reset your mind. It dissipates excess astral energies, and like that frazzled state of mind you might be in, it grounds you and gets rid of that, and allows you to make better steps. Next time you're in a mode of activity, you'll be in a more serene, tranquil mentality, and you'll make more sure-footed steps. It's why we have to sleep every night. If we didn't sleep, we have sleep deprivation, and then we make really bad choices, right? We become sort of loopy. And you might be feeling like you're beginning to know or maybe you really know when advancing and when resting is appropriate, and you just have to capitalize on that. We also have like this idea of ascent, of ascending the mountain. And because there's no changing lines here, it's like the yang elements here, these solid lines, have gotten to their highest places. So, the yang element in the bottom here, it's at the highest of the 3 lines, and then here it's at the highest of the 3 lines here. So it's like total ascent of the yang active energy, where it's reached its peak, and now it's time to sort of rest. Like imagine meditating on a mountaintop, a mountain peak, where you can like see the whole world, and take stock of it, and understand how the choices you made got you here, and the seeds you've planted, how they will probably develop into the future. And you can take the time to really think about how things will change in the future, the consequences of actions, the results of your actions, and all of these things. You can carefully contemplate and explore these things as you meditate. It's also the idea of like making sure you put your house in order, that you're taking care of your own shit before judging others. That whole people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, or he who is without sin may cast the first stone kind of a thing. Like, keep still, don't rush to judgments, don't make any hasty, don't formulate any hasty opinions about anything. Keep yourself in check at this time, and have stillness in whatever situation it is. Have like emotional and intellectual stillness right now. Cultivate equanimity, right? This sense of serenity, this sense of just perfect sort of, I don't know if justice is the word, but that equanimity where you can see everything for what it is, unclouded by your biases or emotions or thoughts or opinions or anything like that. Just try to remain clear-headed, clear your head at this time. But in general, when I think of this apparition at Zaytun and other similar apparitions in power places, this power is cultivated by stillness. And these power places have been around since before recorded history. We have some of these power places that are still active today, where apparitions and paranormal phenomena still occur, and you can check through the archaeological record and the historical record, and that type of phenomenon has been happening at that exact location since before people were writing about it or talking about it. And that is stillness right there. That is like this place that has essentially always been there. Of course, it hasn't always been there, but it's always been there as far as the human memory is concerned. And it's still there, and it's still active, and it's still doing its thing, and it's still baffling witnesses and onlookers. It is still a place of spiritual mystery. That mystery has been there for tens of thousands of years, since cavemen were painting about it on the walls of caves, all the way up to today, where now we have like Christian priests talking about it and putting it in their liturgies, and modern researchers and scientists exploring the phenomenon. And it's just been there forever, and it still baffles people. It still has miracle healing powers. And it's just been in that one place for so long, forever. And we can learn from this idea of stillness, from this cultivating of power through stillness, and exuding your power through stillness. Stillness is when you can really expand your soul, your spirit, your mind, yourself. You can cultivate, you can look at yourself, get rid of the things you don't like, and improve and increase the things that you do like, and radiate outward, and create the aura that you want to create. You can be in control of how you want to radiate your energies out into the world, and what kind of effect you want to have on the world. And if you can focus those with a great deal of intention, that energy that you create and you imbue into an object or into a place can remain there long, long after you're dead and gone. Perhaps thousands of years or longer, if you do it right. If you do it right, it could be permanent. And so we want to think of the legacy we're leaving, what type of legacy we're leaving, how long lasting it will be, and act accordingly. So you have a choice in that. How do you want your legacy to affect others down into the future? You have a chance to really cultivate that right now. So let's develop this reading further. I'm going to spin a coin. It's going to land on one of these 24 symbols here, one of these aspects of life, aspects of reality. The oracle will have us focus on one of these, and I'll pull some cards, and we'll develop this reading a bit further. So oracle, what does Virgo need to know? We have the Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, like a defender. It's a little symbol of like a shield that you might see in the medieval era. The Knight. So this is like defensive energy. It's also an energy of stillness. You know, knights stand guard at gates and doorways, or stand guard in front of the king and queen. They keep the legacy safe, right? There's, you know, when there's a problem, High Priestess wanted to poke out. When there's a problem with a royal legacy, right? Maybe a king dies and didn't leave instructions for his heir, or didn't leave an heir at all. The closest knights are responsible for the changeover in government and what will happen in the future. You know, some knights are entrusted with that type of responsibility. Well, in the past anyway. Today, I don't know how it works today. But in a traditional civilization, that's usually how it's set up. So maybe there's, you know, you have to think about setting up some sort of stability for your legacy, some sort of way of defending your legacy, or making sure it gets carried out. Or maybe you are meant to defend a legacy. Maybe you are the inheritor of a lineage. Maybe you have received the sort of generational transmission of like a spiritual tradition, and you are like the keeper of this energy now, a custodian or a steward of this energy, this spiritual tradition, and you need to preserve it, pass it on to the right people, and give it some permanence. You know, when we become custodian of a spiritual tradition, part of the job is to make sure it remains in the world, to make sure that humanity has access to this spiritual tradition for forever, you know, that ideally, or as long as it's possible or appropriate. So you might have to defend this stillness and the energies that are within this stillness and being generated by this stillness. Yeah, the Devil in reverse came out. So yeah, there is definitely like, yeah, I feel like you might have been dealing with the idea that stillness is unproductive, that you might have been feeling a call to rest or to be still, and you might have been denying that call, thinking like, oh, I can't be still right now. I can't take a rest. I can't take time to myself. I can't take time to do these inner things because I just have so much to do. I have so much to work on in this world. I have so many responsibilities, and you might have felt trapped by those responsibilities. But now something's happening where you're like free from that way of thinking, where like, no, I can be in stillness. It's actually crucial at this point that I remain in stillness and do this work, because it is part of the advancement. It is part of the productivity. It's not anti-productivity. It is just another phase of productivity. It's another phase of advancement. It's not ceasing your advancement. It's just another step. It's a way of moving forward in and of itself. And you know, in the modern world, we're always so busy, and like we like to show off with how busy we are. You know, when people that we're catching up with ask us like what we're doing, everyone likes to talk about how busy they are, as if that's some sort of accolade, as if that's some sort of way of showing that you're successful or that you have your life together or that you're doing the correct thing, that you're walking the correct path. We just like to show off how busy. Oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I got so much going on. And you're breaking free of that, or have broken free, where it's like, you know what, I don't give a shit what these people think. Like, I'm not that busy. Like, I've got the things that I need to do, but I also take a lot of time in stillness and meditation where I don't do shit. And that's fine with me, and I don't give a damn what people think about that. If they think I'm lazy, or that I'm not productive enough, or that I'm not contributing to society, well then fuck them. I don't care what they think. And I think you've got that mentality. I call it the exalted state of not giving a fuck. Where, you're just completely honest with who you are and what you do, and you don't have to hide it. And if people have a problem with that, if they think you're supposed to be busy, well, that's generally because they're very, very selfish. Well, maybe not very selfish, but I've noticed in my life when people ask me like what I do and stuff, like I don't live a conventional 9-to-5 life. Sure, I work, I have jobs, and I do things because I gotta pay for stuff. But I don't value work the way other people do for its own sake. I value work because what I do can help people. I think it adds to our culture, and I need to do it to make money. But I don't value this idea, this Western idea, this puritanical idea of work ethic. Like, life is life, and everyone has different views on it. If you think work ethic is important, then cool. Work all the time. I don't care. But like, when someone else doesn't work, these people think, oh, you're not doing anything for me. You're not contributing to society. I'm your society. If you don't have a job, that means you're not doing something that I would benefit from. I benefit from those UPS drivers delivering me stuff. You don't want to get a job at UPS delivering boxes to me? I benefit from those waiters and waitresses who serve me my food at the diner. You don't want to be one of those waiters that serves me my food? I benefit from, welders who are welding everything all the time so that we can have plumbing and electrical infrastructure, and you don't want to get a job welding things that I benefit from? I benefit from civil infrastructure. Why don't you get a job benefiting me? Like, when you tell people that you don't have a conventional job, you're basically telling them that I don't work for you and I don't want to. And it creates these serious social problems with the way that Americans think. And Western Europeans. And in some Asian countries too, where there's just this concept of you just have to work all the damn time, otherwise you're worthless. And there are other countries that just do not think that way. Like in the Slavic countries, in South America, South and Central America, they kind of have a greater respect for just living your life and not giving a damn. So maybe you're like finally just breaking free of a lot of Western and Far Eastern modern 20th century mental conditioning. And this really is just like a modern thing. It's really only existed since the late puritanical era, like late 18th century up to today. This idea of work, work, work is the only way of life. And no, you need to take stillness. You need to take time for yourself. You need to enjoy your life, and you need to take stock of what life is. There's nothing wrong with doing that. To hell with what other people think. And with what that part of you thinks what other people think. We all have that part of ourselves that is a normie. We all have that part of ourselves that's like, that wants to fit in with the rest of society and wants to have the approval of the rest of society. And, we just need to shut that part of ourselves up, integrate it into the rest of our personality. And, I've learned to, I don't even know if I have that part of myself anymore. I might have killed it. People say integrating your shadow is better than trying to eliminate it. But I think some of these things, like cultural conditioning, I don't think is part of the shadow. I think cultural conditioning is like a parasite that gets added on to our personality. And I really don't believe cultural conditioning has a lot to do with our shadow. I think it can be safe to kill those parts off, to eliminate those parts of ourselves with very little consequence to our personalities. But I know that's a very hardline opinion about mental exploration and personality development that you might not agree with, and that's fine. If you believe in complete and full integration and complete Jungian psychology, then that's fine. I personally don't. I think it's okay to eliminate parts of your personality that you don't like, but understand that if it was a part that you needed to integrate, and it wasn't one of these hangers-on, one of these parasitical parts of yourself, and it actually wasn't okay to eliminate it, it'll come back in a different form to balance out. So if you ever eliminate a part of your personality that wasn't meant to be eliminated, it was meant to be integrated, it'll show up in another way and you'll get another chance to integrate it. So you just have to pay attention. So like, let's say you have an addiction to cigarettes or something and you eliminated that part of yourself ruthlessly, and then suddenly you find you have like a sweet tooth and you just keep eating sweets now. It's that same part of your personality. But there are cases where you eliminate that part of you that smokes, that's addicted to cigarette smoking, and it doesn't get replaced with a sweet tooth or a compulsion to do something else, a compulsion to lie or something like that. It doesn't get replaced. And then you realize, oh, yeah, that wasn't part of me that needed to be integrated with shadow work. It was just a part that needed to be ruthlessly eliminated. And I think a lot of things with cultural conditioning can safely be ruthlessly eliminated, especially like the desire to fit in or be accepted by other people. That's something you can get rid of, in my opinion. If that doesn't resonate with you, that's absolutely okay. Do what your heart tells you and work on your personality in that way. This guy wants to come out. Rhythm. How appropriate. Here we have a rabbit and like a heron and a lyre, this harp-looking thing. Rhythm, yes. The rhythm of life is rest and activity, and rest and activity, and rest and activity. And it's this rhythm that we need to really cultivate and get used to. Sometimes we need to change that rhythm at different parts of our lives. Maybe we have to have a little bit more activity and a little bit less rest. Sometimes we need to have a little bit more rest and a little bit less activity. So we modulate the tempo of this rhythm. We change the beat, we change the rhythm every now and again, but based on full awareness of what is appropriate. Based on, this coming out on the aspect of the night here, it's like when you realize that this rhythm, this circadian rhythm or this rhythm of rest and activity needs to be defended, especially from cultural influences, societal influences, where people are saying, no, you have to do this. I need you to pull overtime this weekend. I need you to work on Sunday. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. You have to take care of this. You have to do that. You can't take time to yourself. That's selfish and lazy. You need to defend your energy and your rhythm from influences like that. Even if these influences are coming from within yourself and not from other people, you need to defend against these impulses. If you feel like you need this rhythm to be good and solid and you need to work out the kinks in this rhythm, defend that process of working out the kinks in this rhythm, because it's super important. And there's a rhythm to defense as well, as like someone like a knight, someone who's trained in martial arts, there's a rhythm to defending and attacking and defending and attacking. And it's again necessary to understand the timing, when and where it's appropriate to defend and when and where it's appropriate to attack. And to learn that actually requires a lot of stillness. In the process of learning when and where is it appropriate to have this rhythm and how to use this rhythm actually requires the rest and stillness part, where you can reflect on how life works and how the world works and how natural phenomena unfold, how social and political phenomena unfold, and economic phenomena and everything like that, and examine it, sort of simulate it in your imagination. Of course, based on good research. Don't just let your imagination flow with theories, but with good, solid knowledge of how these things actually work, and meditate on that. Then you'll know, okay, it's right to advance at this time in this way over here, but over here I need to stop and have stillness at this time in this way for this thing to work. And you learn this through stillness, through cultivating awareness. And if you're constantly in a stage of activity and advancement and progress, your awareness shrinks more and more and more. The more you are active, the more you are in a state of progress and advancement. Over time, your awareness shrinks a little bit every certain amount of time. If you don't re-expand it with stillness, your awareness gets re-expanded through the rest from the activity. And your awareness gets narrowed through activity. We get tunnel vision on whatever goal we're focused on, whatever activity we're focused on. We get tunnel vision, and if we stick to it too long, that tunnel vision becomes just like staring through a keyhole. And that's a really bad place to be, because we can miss a lot of things going on, miss a lot of opportunities, miss a lot of chances to develop ourselves, to notice things, to maybe change our path if we want to change our path, or miss opportunities to, again, like establish a place of power for yourself. Going back here to this apparition at Zaytun, and this idea of power places, or imbuing a place or an object with your energy, that also takes rhythm, because if you do read Franz Barden's book, or any other Hermetic book on this, you will have to do this repetitiously and rhythmically. Sometimes, if you're interested in astrology and the movements of the stars and planets, you can follow that rhythm and do your imbuement rituals in accordance with planetary and stellar movements, or just with how you feel intuitively, and you kind of have to imbue in waves, sort of in episodic waves, where you imbue the object of the place, and then you have to recharge yourself, and then you imbue, and then you recharge. And this can take a matter of days or weeks or months, even years perhaps, if it's just something that becomes part of your daily practice. And you'll find this rhythm of radiating energy and reabsorbing energy, and radiating, and this inhaling and exhaling that you'll find. And I think it will break you free from a lot of conditioning. I think having that rhythm, it kind of like knocks things loose out of your nervous system, out of your chakras, out of your aura. It like dislodges blockages and gunk and all the conditioning and crap and blockages that show up from the experience of life when we start doing these inhaling and exhaling of divine energy exercises, and we focus those on doing something beneficial for ourselves or for the world at large. As long as it's beneficial and has that type of pure intention behind it, then a lot of our cultural conditioning and bad habits just automatically start to dissolve and disappear, even without us focusing on them specifically, because we are imbuing ourselves and radiating such strong divine energies that we don't even have to think about the things that are bad about ourselves. They'll just automatically be addressed by all of this divine energy that sort of just brings an orderliness to the system and starts to break down these problems and break us free from them, just because that's how divine energy works, I guess. I don't fully understand it myself. But I'm going to pull a token for you, Virgo. One last thing to round out this reading. What does Virgo need to know? Yeah, we have the astrological sign for Virgo. And the number 6. Is that a 6? Yeah. Sometimes I forget. But yeah. So again, like, I know I'm harping on the apparitions thing, but like the Virgin Mary, the Virgo, Isis, Nuit, these Ishtar, these are all sort of different cultural masks worn by the same sort of feminine, spiritual apparition, etheric apparition, whatever it is. Oh, by the way, I don't know why I feel called to say this, but some of the people who see these apparitions get like conjunctivitis or like a cataract, because there is measurable gamma radiation associated with some of these apparitions. I don't know why I felt like saying that. Maybe if you do experience apparitions like these at a place of power, first of all, that's freaking awesome. Tell me about it. Second of all, maybe wear sunglasses or something. Like, there is a measure of gamma radiation that comes off of these things, so be careful. don't touch it maybe. You also hear stories of people like getting electrocuted and stuff, or like having the sense of being electrocuted if they get too close or if they touch the apparition and they're grounded onto the, they're standing on the earth and like a current goes through them. So there's like real power, like actual measurable electromagnetic energy associated with this stuff. But yeah, this is your sign. This is something that it is special to you, this stillness, this legacy that you're thinking about leaving, this energy that you need to radiate out. It is uniquely yours. It comes from you, like maybe channeled from the Most High Divine, but through you in your special way. And it's pure, it's got good intention behind it. It's really cultivated and grown within, your womb, so to speak, your creative aspect, the part of you that nurtures these things and gives birth to them. It's like you're ready to give birth to this new radiance, this new spiritual energy or whatever it is, and imbue something with it, like use it to achieve a real goal. Like you can become like a real like magician, like a pure-hearted magus, someone who can really do something with this magical power that you're developing and that you're protecting and cultivating within yourself. You, even in this stillness, like you have this purity that is active. It's like activeness within the stillness. That's how powerful your meditation is at this time, is that even in stillness, what appears to be stillness to yourself and to everybody else, there's actually a whole universe of spiritual activity occurring within you and around you and radiating from you and moving into you and out of you, and this inhaling and exhaling. There's a great deal of spiritual activity around you at this time. And it's going to give birth to something quite transformative, not only for yourself, but for lots of other people. The Virgo is like the one who gave birth to the baby Jesus, the one who resurrected Osiris, the one who gave birth and nurtured Tammuz, all of these messianic figures. Krishna's mom is represented by this constellation. These divine women, these divine caregivers who gave birth to things that transformed entire cultures, things that became the very foundation of entire societies. And I think you might, in your own way, be involved with something like that, something that can really cultivate a new aspect of civilization and at least in your own way, in your own legacy, who knows? Or maybe on a large scale. I have no idea who you are. Maybe you are someone incredibly important. I have no idea. But even if it's on a small scale, you're going to affect at least one other person in a very positive and transformative way with whatever it is you're doing here, and it's worthwhile. This stillness, this spiritual activity, this imbuing of your energy, this contemplating your legacy and how what you're doing now will affect the future. Doing all of this at this time is going to have like a really good benefit for others besides yourself, including yourself, but also besides yourself, because it is rooted in purity and pure intention. It's very, very, very powerful stuff, Virgo. So I think the Oracle and I are going to leave it there for you today. I think that's all we've got for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, Virgo. I always appreciate it when you stop by. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.